Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Hotıì ts'eeda Lunch and Learn session with the NWT Recreation and Parks Association. We're so happy to have the NWT RPA here to share about this program. This lunchtime learning opportunity is a part of a joint effort from Hotıì ts'eeda and the Institute of Circumpolar Health Research. Our lunchtime learning sessions aim to provide bite-sized opportunities to build research and knowledge translation skills for NWT organizations and individuals working in the health and wellness fields. We also like to spotlight interesting and innovative work being done in the territory. So Hotıì ts'eeda is a research support center for community members, organizations, and researchers involved in NWT health and health research. We're funded by the Canadian Institutes of Health Research and hosted by the Clean Show government. Hotıì ts'eeda connects researchers with communities and Indigenous organizations to support NWT health research priorities. Hotıì ts'eeda's work is guided by the principles of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. We're pleased to partner with the Institute for Circumpolar Health Research on bringing this lunchtime series to life. The Institute for Circumpolar Health Research works with community groups, governments, and authorities to build capacity and support community engagement in research. They bring together people and resources and organizations to support research throughout the NWT and the North in general, and work to raise health and wellness issues throughout the communities and broader circumpolar world. So today we're happy to introduce the NWT RPA team, Adam and Diane, to present on the Activate NWT program. So I'll hand the presentation over to you, and yeah, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Let me share my screen. I guess we're calling that screen one. Okay. Are you able to see my screen now? Okay, excellent. So yeah, my name's Adam Wu. I'm the Director of Professional Development with the Northwest Territories Recreation and Parks Association. And in that capacity, one of the roles I have is managing and directing the Activate NT program. So today we're hoping to just tell you a little bit about the program, where it's come from, what it's doing, and where we hope to be going in the future. Diane, did you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, I'm Diane. I'm the logistics coordinator for Activate NT. I work with Adam, and so I do a lot of the communications between the recipients and organizing logistics for the grant program.
All right, thanks. So what we're hoping to cover is, as I mentioned, a little bit of background. So what this program is, where it came from, and who is funding it. We'll take a look at the parts that go into this program, the journey a participant might take from first contact right through to completion with it. We can look at some of the projects that have already been completed or are nearing completion right now, because we are getting close to the end of our first full year of operation. We'll talk about some of the ways that we ensure the participants in this program are meeting all the program goals and are realizing the success that we're hoping for them. We'll look at the impacts that's having both on the participants, but also on their broader communities, because this program is designed to have a real sort of force multiplying effect where our participants are directly impacted by us, and then they in turn have another entire set of participants that they're leading recreation programming for. And we'll wrap up by looking at what's coming up, where we're going, what we're working on right now, and the directions we're hoping to take in the next year. And then, of course, if there's any questions as we're going through, just jump in anytime. So in terms of what this program is, in brief, it's a micro granting program. So we've received funding from the federal government through the Canada Service Corps to distribute quite a number of these $5,000 grants to youth in the Northwest Territories between the ages of 15 and 30 to deliver some sort of community-based recreation program or project. We'll talk a little more in a bit about exactly what recreation means in this context, but the key for us, what was so attractive about this program as we were designing it and proposing it to the federal government, is that force multiplier effect that over the course of our current funding, we'll be able to distribute about 110 of these $5,000 grants. Oh, hello, Simone. How's it going? Awesome. Yeah, about 110 of them. But because each of those 110 individuals are going to be creating and delivering recreation programming in their own community, the number of people impacted is actually far larger than 110. If some of these programs may involve 5 participants, some of them involve 50 participants. So we don't know the total number of sort of second level participants yet, because the reporting isn't completed from our first cohort, but it's at least several hundred. So the reach of this program is actually something we're really excited about. So for our participants, the ones that we're actually giving the grants to, there's lots of leadership development for them, lots of growth, lots of learning. And we're especially excited also by the fact that we're hoping that we're creating the next cohort, the next generation of recreation leaders for the territory. Because we know that in the recreation world, once someone gets their toe in the waters of recreation leadership, it's often a lifelong pursuit for them, whether that's professionally or through volunteer work, whether that might just be even coaching their kids' sports teams, whatever it might be. Once people get involved in that, they tend to stay involved. So if we're able to get 110 more people involved in that, who stay involved for years and years to come, that can have a huge impact on recreation in the territory. And in terms of the types of opportunities that are being offered, every single one of those projects is being developed and led at the community level. So we have no role whatsoever in directing, suggesting, dictating what these programs are. We're trying to get the word out there to youth, to say this opportunity exists. What do you want? What does your community need? What are the services that are maybe lacking, the programs you want to see, or the programs you wish you had seen when you were younger? And so those ideas are entirely locally generated, locally developed, locally delivered, but with lots of support from us for whatever direction they choose to go. And the final piece of the what is Activate NT is just speaking more broadly about the benefits of recreation. And these are very well established, but there's a lot of data within Canada and beyond that link participation in recreation and positive recreation experience to numerous positive outcomes, including health, well-being, civic engagement, volunteerism, community health. It goes on and on and on. So the more that we can get programs like this that speak to and benefit communities, the more benefits will accumulate to those communities. So the whole model, as it was sort of coming into being, it just seemed to be win 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 across the board. So we're really pleased with how it's going, and yeah, we're excited to see what comes next. Like I said, jump in anytime if you have questions, but I'll just keep rolling along here. So the bulk of our funding, the primary funder for this is the Canada Service Corps, and that's all of the grant money that we're giving out, plus some amount for operating costs. Based on their funding model, they have some strict rules regarding what percentage of the funding goes towards grants and what percentage goes to operating costs. And those percentages probably make sense in a lot of Canada. If you were doing a program like this in Edmonton and bringing people in from as far away as Sherwood Park and Spruce Grove, the percentage allocated to operating costs would be enough to cover those modest travel costs. When you're doing it in the NWT and their travel costs, bringing people from Uluhaktuk, Saktayaktuk, Fort Smith, Aklavik, Norman Wells, those travel costs get huge, as we all know, very, very quick. So it wouldn't have been possible within Canada Service Corps' model and the small percentage that we're allowed to allocate to operational costs, we wouldn't have been able to do this. So from the get-go, we knew we'd need extra support, and that's where organizations like Hotıì ts'eeda, like Makeway and MACA really stepped up to help primarily with those travel costs, to make it possible for us to bring all of these grant recipients from across the territory together for the training portion of it. Without that, we'd be doing online training with these youth. And I think as anyone who's done in-person and online training can attest to, it's not the same. It's not as effective, and you don't get all the other benefits of being in the same room with like-minded people and sharing ideas. So we're extremely grateful for that. The NWT-RPA also contributes to the program in terms of quite a bit of staffing costs. So a lot of my time is now taken up with this program, and we're not getting any money from any of our funders for my salary. That's entirely an in-kind contribution by the NWT-RPA. So in terms of what this program would look like for a participant, there's really 5 stages to it. And what we're looking at here, this is the cohort that's currently wrapping up their program delivery. And in a minute, Simone can share a little bit of her experience. She had a number of her students involved in this year, but it was starting a little over a year ago that we started taking applications. We made decisions on acceptances and got in touch with all the applicants, sorted out paperwork, just got them fully enrolled in the program throughout the summer. And then it was in October that we hosted our first training workshop. We did that in Yellowknife at the ski club. I can tell you a little more about that later, but in short, it was wonderful. It was just such a thrill to have so many switched on, enthusiastic, go-getters of youth that and their supporters, their mentors and their chaperones there, all in one room. It was just a joy to work with them. So that happened in October, and then the project delivery, where each one of those grant recipients plans and delivers their recreation program or project in their community. That happened through the fall and into the winter. So many have wrapped up. Some are still wrapping those ones up. We've had a few that wanted to do something out on the land last month, but it was just too cold and they've had to postpone. So that's completely fine. They're wrapping them up soon, and the reporting is already rolling in for many of them. And that's where we're going to learn a little bit more about just how many people participated in their programs, who those people were, what the ages were, what they thought of it, how it impacted the community. So as those reports come in, and there's sort of more and more of them every week now, we're thrilled with what we're seeing from them. In terms of a quick overview for what we've done this year that's now wrapping up, $250,000 in grants have been distributed so far. That's to 50 recipients across 15 communities. Right from the get-go, when we designed this program, we wanted to commit to making sure there was equitable representation across the territory. So we said, we're going to ensure at least 50% of all the grants go to Indigenous participants, and at least 50% of all the grants go to non-Yellowknifers. And we've achieved both of those, which we're really pleased with. And looking at the applications that are already coming in for next year, that trend is continuing. And as I mentioned, we won't know the final number of those sort of second order participants, but from what we've heard so far, we know that our 50 grant recipients have delivered recreation programs to at least several hundred participants, and we're excited to try to get a final tally on what that might be. Because in a territory with a population of only 40 or 45,000 people, it actually ends up starting to be a recognizable percentage of the total population of the territory that will have been positively impacted by this program. So that's pretty cool. So I want to just mention a few of the projects that are currently ongoing or wrapping up, and then maybe I'll pass it over to Simone to talk about some of the ones she specifically has been involved with. But yeah, so many great ideas. I won't go into details on all of these, but we've got, what are some of my favorites? This community cookbook and feast, the idea of collecting recipes from community members and elders, and then holding an event where everyone comes together, prepares those dishes together, shares the recipes so they can be carried on. That was a really cool one. We've got lots of sport-based ones. We had 5 girls here in Yellowknife work together to put on a hockey camp for girls. That was just a few weeks ago. And there were over 100 female players that participated in that hockey camp. And it was really unique because I think female players in hockey, I know this because I'm involved and I coach sometimes, but they're often, they don't get a chance to mix as a larger group like that. There's some that play on this female team, some that play co-ed, some that play in a different program. But to be able to draw the females together from all those different programs, bring them into one place, and to see them look around and just sort of realize, wow, you know what? There's a lot of us. That was pretty cool for them and pretty powerful. We've had lots of great on the land activities. There's a great one that wrapped up in Hay River. Simone, I know there's a few that have gone on recently or are going on now in Fort Resolution. We had the hand games tournament in Fort Resolution. There's a drone indoor drone racing club in Fort Smith where they've got obstacles set up in a gym and they're racing drones around in there, learning how to pilot them. Lots of arts-based ones, everything from music workshops to vocal performances to community talent shows. Uh, we've even got two grant recipients that are sharing one grant that are putting on a free arts and crafts day camp starting next week in Yellowknife for kids 5 to 7 years old. Um, and that's one of the wonderful things about this as well is that virtually all of these programs are free to the participants because the grant money is being used to cover all the expenses that, and therefore the barriers to participation, many of them are removed right off the bat in that it's a completely free program open to everyone. We've got a photography club going on in, Diane, is that Paulatuck? No, that's Tuck, right? Yeah, okay, that one's in Tuck. Yeah, so many, but Simone, if you're, oh, where'd Simone go? Oh, there she is. Yeah, introduce Simone to you, and she is well, why don't you introduce yourself and your role and how you got involved in this?
Okay, hi there, pleasant good afternoon, everyone. My official name is Dr. Simone de Gans Lang. I am the principal of the New School, Fort Resolution. I'm going to be unplugging my laptop because I need you to see what the grant, one of our projects that the grant has helped us to fulfill.
Simone,
Yes.
could you share, or maybe Adam needs to unshare your screen just so that Simone's is featured.
Did he unshare it?
I think he's doing that now.
Okay. Is it?
Not yet. Give me 1 second.
All right. Okay.
So what is that's growing?
I'm coming to you with that shortly.
Okay.
So now we're into dirt, right? And I don't know if you're able to see the size of the jalapenos there,
Oh, wow.
right? Let me see if I can go all the way to the back here. I'm trying my best not to pick the students' stuff. Ah, this pumpkin,
Oh, wow.
right? These are sweet peppers. Okay. So let me take you. This is bok choy,
Mm.
lettuce, the funders, kale. We have the different parsley. We have basil. We have different types of lettuce. Okay, so I'm gonna be ah 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 oh, cancer. Okay, I'm gonna be running down now. So this grant should not be taken lightly. And the reason why I'm saying this grant should not be taken lightly is because what we're doing from what we did from one of the grants, we were able to show our children how to grow their own foods. So before this, we had a huge soil bed where we did 6 weeks crops. And from those 6 weeks crops, the food that came out, it was cooked. So from growing, we then teach the students how to cook healthy meals. Eggplant, they got their own seasoning, everything. And I'm breathless now because when I think of this program, I get excited because this program has taught our students what no textbook can teach them. They learn financial acumen. They learn budgeting, which most have gone off on. None of them stayed within that 5,000, but the school cushioned it because of how detailed and how prosperous the projects were. We have taught our just now, oh my God. One more rundown, just now.
I love being taken on this journey with you, Simone.
Good afternoon, kinders. I am just showing someone what you're growing, okay? I'm just showing them your plants. Okay, so what the program did, it was a whole school approach. So we have kindergartens who understand and have practiced hydroponic planting and soil planting. What we also did to expand the program, we bought like little seedlings. So each household right now in Fort Resolution has a plant by their kitchen window. That plant, what it is we did, so if we send Adam tomatoes, we would have sent Diane beans. So when your stuff grow now, you exchange with the house next to you, right? This program, our first funding that we started off with was the Keep Fit, and that still runs. So I want to show you the impact of how it's long term. It was supposed to be a 6 weeks program, and we're looking from October to March, and we still have women and young girls exercising and working out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday from this little grant. So this grant is not to be taken lightly. It changed life. It improves education. It improves the standard of living for most of my children. I know they're not my children, but I call them my children, all right? What it also does, it creates a type of competition among them that I can't create because everybody wants to outshine each other. And because they want to outshine each other, that's why we're getting excellence in each of the projects. So we're trying to outdo each other with this little 5,000. And I love it. I love it. I love it. The reason for the cap is because I just came back from dog sledding. So when Adam first came to me with this, I'm like, okay, let me try. After he broke it down and explained it, and then I took it to staff, and then staff is like, I said, it's worth the try. Then I got staff to buy in. After I went to staff, then I went to parents. And parents said, really? All right. So then I started to tell them, I said, let's show Adam and others and not active what we can do, and let's do something different. When it comes to our after school activity, we try to play sports that's out of the ordinary. So up in Fort Resolution, our children are playing cricket, which is a sport that Canada played many, many years ago in the 80s. Because Canada had a cricket team that used to come to the West Indies, the Caribbean, where I'm originally from, Trinidad and Tobago, and tour. So right now I have an intramural cricket competition taking place on Friday. And that's what this grant does. It provides 21st century education. It allows us to open the children's eyes to what is beyond Northwest Territory, what is beyond Edmonton, and what is beyond Canada. And I love it. So please, let's not stop it.
That's amazing, Simone. It's so, and like, obviously I'm aware of the projects that are going on in Fort Res that each of the participants are doing, but to hear that story of the impact that it's having on the participants and then on the broader community, that's incredible. Yeah, that's so heartening.
I have children who never used to come to school that come to school.
Wow.
My attendance has started to spiral to the point where I have parents who did not complete their grade 12. They're now asking the school, hey, make it possible for us to complete our grade 12.
Oh my God.
And we'll come in and we'll volunteer and do some of all these little projects you all doing, which is fantastic.
That's
right?
amazing.
This, for me, this is what education is. This is really building the holistic person. This is where we actually make our students marketable because the children, they're able to find their own strengths. Now, another thing that this program has done, it has my secretary very upset with me because we are spending what we don't have. Let me take you down the corridor again. So from one of the programs, one of the teachers decided to say, hey, let's try a little beauty culture cosmetology thing. What the program did, what the funding did, it started us off. And I think she doesn't have anybody there, so I'll take you in her room. Hi there, Miss Bushell. Oh, by the way, hydroponics is also in Miss Bushell's classroom.
Right.
Right?
It's everywhere.
That's Miss Bushell.
Hello.
And this is a peek of our cosmetology classroom.
Oh my goodness.
And
From
this
zero to fruition.
and this
From
is from the
zero.
grant as well?
Yes. Yes. The grant was the live wire that started it. And then we realized, then we started to see children come with all the hands blue, all behind the ears blue, because they're going home and coloring their own hair. Right? So then we say, you know what, let's kind of take it up a notch. We started this way, teaching them a little manicure, a little pedicure. So let's kind of go all the way now. And that is how powerful your grant is.
Wow.
It can start like this to make something this.
That's amazing. Appreciate it so much, Simone. Yeah, and it's encouraging to hear that story of a handful of grants and know that, there are 50 stories like that across the territory. And yeah, thank you so much for joining and sharing all that. It's quite touching to see the impact it's having. So, and thank you for all your support to those students and your whole community for helping them achieve all of this. Because a lot of these participants, we know, like these are youth. They do need support, and they wouldn't be able to do it on their own. But the key is with mentors around there to support them, not do it for them, but support them to
Exactly.
do it. The lessons learned are quite remarkable.
Wednesday before I go, I think it's this afternoon. The one of the hydroponic kits, it's going to be trimmed because oh, tomorrow is Tuesday. It's tomorrow. It's called Green Day. It's called Salad Day.
Mm.
So they're going to be doing different types of salads, right? And they're going to be sharing it with each classroom.
Oh, so good.
So we're going to be eating healthy. So anytime you see us, we exercise, we eat healthy. So if you realize we're trying to outlive the rest of the North, that's us. All right. Anyway,
Amazing.
folks, I gotta go. Thank you for having me. Be good, be safe, be blessed, and thank you very much for all that you have done and
Well,
continue to do with us.
same to you, Simone. Thanks so much for
Okay, all
joining
Thank
us.
you,
right.
Simone. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.
Bye.
Bye.
My
Okay.
heart.
Well, I'm not nearly as interesting as her, so I should end it there. No, I'm sure, Rachel, you're probably looking at the time and being like, we got to wrap this thing up pretty soon. But yeah, so I think that speaks for itself. There's not much to add there. Um, there are a few other things I did want to explain about the program. One is the flexibility. So unlike some grant programs where you receive this money and a laundry list of rules of all the things you cannot use it for, as long as the grant recipients are not paying themselves in any way, there's virtually no limit. So obviously facilities, program equipment, some of these are very obvious that any grant program would include, but things like if you needed to buy participant equipment. So let's say you were doing a BMX biking program and everyone needed a helmet. You can buy helmets and give it to the participants. That's theirs to keep. That's completely fine. If the grant recipient needs to get any sort of training to enable them to do it, they can pay for that training out of their grant money. Their travel costs are certainly approved. Catering, food, you need that. Sometimes that's a great enticement to get people there. Sometimes that's just something that people need in order to be able to participate meaningfully. They need some food in their belly. You can do that. If Simone mentioned the fitness program for young women in Fort Resolution, as part of that, they set up that was taking place in the gym. They hired some other community members to provide childcare in a classroom so that young mothers could come park their kids in a classroom, and then they were free to go do it. If participants need taxis to get there, grant money can cover that. So if this is all about thinking of what the barriers to participation in these programs might be and eliminating them. So as long as they're not paying themselves, there's virtually no limitation on what they can spend it on, as long as it's going towards the program. A lot of our participants, especially at the younger age of that 15 to 30 range, they prefer to work with other people. So there's two ways they can do that. Simple partnership where you'd have, whether it's two people or a whole class of kids, they all get, there's one $5,000 grant, they work together and deliver one thing. That's pretty straightforward. The other way that it can be done is through this process called collaboration, where we've got, in this case, 4 different individuals who each receive their own $5,000 grant. And they each put on their own program, but these can be related programs. So one example might be if the 4 of them wanted to put on a music festival in their community, this person might choose to organize a guitar workshop. This one's going to organize a songwriter's workshop. This one's going to organize a drum making workshop. And this one's going to host an open mic coffee house. And they all take place in the same place at the same time. So it's part of a larger music festival. This way, each of the individual grant recipients is still responsible for a complete area of it, and they gain all the benefits of the lessons learned from that process of planning an event, recruiting for it, managing a budget, reporting. They still get all those benefits, but they're able to combine their resources to some extent to create something a little bit bigger. In terms of how 15-year-olds are actually able to pull this off, there's a few key supports. One is I mentioned the 3-day training workshop. So every grant recipient is invited down. We pay for them to come down to Yellowknife so that that's not coming out of their grant money. That's separate. That's part of those additional funders dollars that are so important to us. And the one we did in October was phenomenal. Every grant recipient is paired up with a project mentor, and that's someone from their community that they know, they trust, they select. In some cases, they've got certain subject matter related to the project. In other cases, they might just have some basic project management experience, but someone that the grant recipient can go to and say, hey, I don't quite understand what I'm supposed to be doing here. Can you help me out? So in some cases, that's been teachers, principals, coaches, family members, elders, other community members, people in community government or indigenous government, lots of different folks. And we've had a couple cases, I think just one or two, where someone wasn't able to find a project mentor, so we helped them find to make sure that that support's there. And then, of course, there's myself and Diane. This isn't the only thing I do for the RPA, but it's the biggest thing. So we do spend a fair bit of our time supporting these participants. And since Diane's joined us, she's in contact with multiple grant recipients every day, answering various questions and helping them along. We also provide all the resources, templates, examples, the information that they need, because we tell these kids, like, when they're applying, we don't expect them to know how to do it. By the end of it, we expect them to know how to do it, but they're going to learn it as they go. And this is pretty astounding. Of those 50 grants that we've given out so far, every single one of them has either completed delivery or is in active delivery, which we just know, like, life happens. And we're dealing with youth here. There's a lot going on in some of these kids' lives, but we're just astounded by the success rate, and probably shouldn't be, having met all these kids back in October. Such great kids, so motivated, and we're just so thrilled to see the success that they're having. So as for that training workshop, I mentioned this one was in October, 3 days at the ski club. 57 people attended from 15 communities, and I've done a lot of teaching and facilitating over my life, and always a bit apprehensive when I know that I'm entering a room full of a whole bunch of youth who mostly don't know each other and are away from home in an awkward situation. You're kind of expecting a lot of the arms crossed shyness and have to work really hard to get them out of their little bubble there, or like just scrolling on their phone under the desk as if we can't tell that's what they're doing. But from the first 90 minutes of the first morning, the level of engagement and participation and the willingness to put themselves out there and share was overwhelming, and it just set the tone for the full 3 days, and that it kept up. So it was so great to see just the caliber of youth that we have in this territory. It makes us very hopeful for the future, and because of that, we shouldn't be surprised to see 100% success rate. But when you just look at that number on paper, it does still seem like an unrealistic goal to have set for ourselves, but that's where we're at. In terms of what that training covered, we had some certification courses. So we did certification courses for everyone in a course called Foundations of Northern Youth Recreation Leadership. We did one in Recreation for Mental Health. So really emphasizing the linkages between participation in well-designed recreation programs and positive impacts on mental health, wellness, and community health and wellness as well. They learned all about project planning, right from determining a scope through mind mapping, putting that into a plan and a task list, scheduling that out, recruiting participants, risk management, waivers and paperwork and insurance, all those elements. They learned everything they need to about budgeting and financial reporting, so how to make a detailed budget, and then how to track that as things go. Because as Simone said, they don't always stay on budget. Some things end up being more. So how do you adjust your budget on the fly? Because not every participant had a school backing them up, willing to pick up the tab if they overspent. Most had 5,000 and that's all. So they had to stay within that budget. How do they use a ledger to record every purchase, collect receipts, show where it's coming from? And the great thing about all this stuff, like Simone's alluding to, is these are such highly transferable skills that we're telling people, like, yes, you're planning an arts and crafts day camp, but if you go into construction contracting, the skills are the same. The knowledge is the same, and it puts you way ahead in whatever you end up doing in your life. These skills are going to be important. So yeah, the training content was really an everything you need to know to plan and deliver, report on these projects. And then the outcomes for them, the leadership skills, of course, the actual project management skills that go hand in hand with this, and financial literacy that Simone was alluding to. Their ability to communicate and plan and work with a group, recruit a network of volunteers to help them with it was incredible. The confidence of these kids, Simone's mentioning, we've got kids coming to school that weren't before. We've got kids engaging in ways they weren't before. And the network of support. It was so great to see the students from Fort Smith and the students from Paulituck exchanging phone numbers so they could keep texting about how their projects are going. And so this network of young recreation leaders from across the territory, so positive to see. And I think it really did expand the perspective for a number of participants from being sort of community and maybe regional to being fully territorial and understanding that these projects are happening all the way from Smith to Ulahaktuk, and that they're doing the same things and facing the same challenges. So, yeah, and everyone had a great time. Yeah, in terms of what the impacts are, we've got these locally developed recreation opportunities that we wouldn't otherwise had, and we're getting them at a really good rate. $5,000 per project is incredibly cheap for the scale of the impact they're having. Just to see youth become more engaged in their communities and start building networks, reaching out across community, across generations within communities, building these opportunities, to see intergenerational programming, which is so important in communities. Yeah, that's phenomenal. And like I said, those meaningful connections from participants in one community to another. It's making a big difference now, and we're hopeful that it's got an enduring impact that sort of echoes down for decades as these people stay involved in recreation. A couple of our favorite bits of feedback we got. We had it was actually Simone who described it once as saying that this is life curriculum, and coming from an educator and a PhD as well, like that made us feel like, okay, I think we're on the right path here. This idea of the evolution of student/youth leadership, it really is giving them that real world component and tangible element. Yeah, you can read these other ones. One really interesting thing the timing couldn't be better for this is that all the grade 11 students in the NWT right now are the first that will be graduating high school next year on the BC curriculum. And part of that, in grade 12, they'll all be required to do a capstone project. The current grade 12 cohort, who are still on the Alberta curriculum, don't have to do that. So next year will be the first year of this capstone project. And when we look at the curriculum requirements for a capstone project, it's an Activate NT project. So we've got a lot of educators right now that are super keen about their students having the opportunity to not just do this project that's got a budget of $0 and is all kind of theoretical, but what if you did this project with a budget of $5,000? The requirements remain the same, but it gives such a great opportunity and such a great combination of requirements there, or similarity in requirements, that the students can do something meaningful with an actual budget while being motivated to continue through grade 12 and finish that last year and graduate high school. So we're hoping that those two elements really have a positive impact on each other. And in terms of where we're at or where we're going with this, our funding from Canada Service Corps, we got one more year of it, so that'll run out in March 2027. During this upcoming fiscal year, we'll be reapplying to Canada Service Corps for another 3 years from them. And we got to think, if they liked the idea in the first place when it was completely unproven, stands to reason they're going to like it now that it's going so well. So we're hopeful that we do get another 3 years. We're in the process of applying to those additional funders again, including Hotıì ts'eeda. Got our application in last week. So that we've got the additional funds we need for all those travel costs and participant support costs to actually make this work in a place like the NWT. 60 more grants to be awarded this year. I don't know how many applications we've got, but probably it must be getting close to 20 already.
Yeah, near 20.
And those applications will stay open well into the next fiscal year. So well ahead of where we were last year. So I think the word is getting out there a bit more. And we've got training workshops. We've got one coming up late May, another in late September. So each of those will have roughly 30 grant recipients plus their mentors or chaperones. And then, yeah, we're also, of course, giving all the ongoing support needed to the current cohort as they're wrapping up their projects, transitioning into reporting and getting everything tidied up. So that's where we've come. That's where we're going. And yeah, we're just thrilled. Compared to a year ago when we were just starting to get this thing rolling, we didn't know how it would work. We didn't know if that goal of 50 recipients was realistic or not. So yeah, we're really encouraged by the results so far. And yeah, we're optimistic that it's only going to continue to grow as more and more people hear about it and realize the benefits. And I'll take a breath now and you can jump in.
Yeah, that was incredible. I'm so impressed. You should have Simone co-present with you all the time.
Well, she should probably present on her own. I'll just stay quiet.
Yeah, that was awesome. I absolutely loved the interactive tour we got of the school and all the amazing stuff they're doing with these grants. That is awesome. I'm thrilled that Hotıì ts'eeda is a small part of this. Um, I I don't even really have any questions because you answered all of them. But yeah, what an amazing program. And I can't wait to see the next group of things that are funded because this is so cool. And you can see like, you know, how you explained the kind of tiers of impact. I think that that is so significant and it just shows how little amounts, like small amounts of financial investment can make this huge difference if you do it in the right way.
Yeah.
Just so cool. I love it.
Yeah. No, we're obviously enthusiastic about it. And I guess one other thing I might throw out there, just to whoever ends up listening to this, is I'll just scroll back up to our by the numbers slide. We were thrilled with the territory-wide participation. Regionally, we would love to see more applicants or sort of more balance across regions. So Yellowknife came in at exactly 50% of all the grants received. South Slave was very strongly represented. Bodell had quite a few. Sawtooth, North Slave, outside of Yellowknife were not, not bad, but we could have more. And we didn't end up with anyone from the Detro. We had one from Fort Providence who, before the training event, something came up. She had to withdraw, and I think she moved away. So pretty legitimate reason. But yeah, we'd certainly love to see even more from some of those regions that didn't have a huge presence last time. So if you're watching this, which I guess you are, if you're hearing me say that, yeah, and especially if you're in one of those regions that didn't have a huge number, please reach out to people, spread the word around, and let's see if we can get more representation from some of the communities that we didn't hear from the first time around.
Yeah, we'll share too. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, we can close, and I just want to close with a really big thank you. Thank you guys so much for this presentation and your amazing work on this project. And like I said, I can't wait to see what's to come in the next year with it. So yeah, Masi, thank you so much. And we'll look forward to hearing more about what you guys are up to on this project.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your support and for for making the time to let us tell you about it.